Welcome to this live discussion with The Wire. I'm Akhil Kumar, and today I have with me a very special guest, Mr. Yogendra Yadav. Welcome to this discussion, Mr. Yadav.
Thank you.
Uh, Mr. Yadav is a very renowned psephologist and also a politician who has founded the Swaraj India party. He has worked with farmers and the working class in general. He has also been associated with a wide range of social movements. So, as the people of Gujarat cast their deciding vote today, we are with him to discuss the Gujarat elections, various dimensions of Gujarat politics, and also the predictions that he has made earlier on his Twitter account. Mr. Yadav, can you just start with, for the viewers who might be unaware of your predictions, can you please elaborate on what your predictions are for this election?
It's not a prediction in the sense that I used to do earlier. Earlier I used to do it as a professional activity, and what it involved is conducting a very large scale survey that I used to design and supervise, and then drawing interpretation from that. I do none of that these days because I am, as you mentioned, I'm a full-time political activist, and this is not my principal interest. I almost am happy that I'm not a psephologist anymore. All that I have done in this particular election is that there were some opinion polls available in the public domain. One conducted by CSDS, an institution that I used to work with before, but I no longer am associated in any way. Another done for Times Now by another polling agency. I looked at their results and I saw a trend. And I noticed the fact that no one was somehow talking about that trend. And this election had acquired such significance that I thought it's only proper for me to spell that out. So in a sense, that's what I've done. I've made projections out of available public opinion data in the public domain. I no longer have the facility to get a poll of my own done. I cannot get them to share the data. I just pick up what I have from the public domain. And the conclusion that I saw were the following. First, the evidence. The CSDS poll has been done thrice in the run-up to the Gujarat election. In the month of August, they thought it's no contest. It's 30% gap for in advantage to the BJP, just like it had in the 2014 parliamentary election. In October, it reports that the gap has suddenly dramatically come down to merely 6 percentage points. And then, end of November, it did another round in which said that the margin had now shrunk to 0. Congress and BJP both were at the same point at 43%. Another survey done by Times Now in the month of October said BJP is well ahead by 15 percentage point. End of November, they also say it's down to only 5 percentage point. Now remember, in the last 20 years, in the last 5 assembly election, BJP has always managed a lead of about 10 percentage points or so, and has therefore scored very comfortable victories. This particular election appeared to be very different. It seemed that in this election things were pretty close, and therefore I thought the question we should be asking it is this: if this is what it was in October and November, what would it be like in middle of December, which is when the elections are happening, 9th and today the 14th. And so what I did was simply to pick those trends and to extend it, project it. And my sense was that if Times Now thinks that 10 percentage point drop has taken place in 1 month, it can only extend and accentuate. We would have probably another 10 percentage point. CSDS says it's dropped by 6 points, so another 6 points. In both cases, we were looking at about BJP being behind the Congress by 4 to 5 percentage point. So a lead of 5 percentage point could turn to a trail of 5, or 0 would turn into a trail of 5 or 6. This is basically what I used to draw my conclusion. And my conclusion therefore was that in either of the situation, even if it's equal vote to both the parties, or BJP trailing by 4 to 5 percentage point, in both cases BJP would lose this election. And that reason has to do with a very peculiar demography of Gujarat. In Gujarat, BJP does very well in urban areas. It scores massive victories. Therefore, if the vote share is equal between BJP and Congress, it works to Congress's advantage, because BJP would win a fewer number of seats with very big margins, and Congress would win large number of seats with smaller margins. So I said there were two scenarios. One, which I said was possible, which is that they have equal share of votes, in which case Congress is marginally ahead of the BJP, will get majority. Or if BJP is there's a 2% swing and BJP is 4% or so behind the Congress, in that case it will be a very clear and comfortable victory for Congress and a very clear defeat for BJP. BJP could go down to something like 65 or so, which is what Congress has been getting. These are the two scenarios I projected, and I said the first one was possible. The second is likely, because this is the trend of the opinion polls. So that's what I said, but please, this is not prediction of the old kind. And honestly, I don't want to get to those predictions. I was very happy to give up psephology in 2011, even before 2012 February, before I got into public life, because I thought that was not really what I wanted to do with my life.
So even this prediction is now being seen as sort of contrarian, because today we see there are wide speculations in all corners or of media, politicians, even the common citizens, and most of them tend to give a slight edge to the BJP, if not a landslide to the BJP. And you're probably one of the very few who have predicted a favorable position for the Congress in this election. And you've also mentioned that even the data that you used from Times Now and CSDS all predict that this was lead to the Congress was almost impossible to imagine just a few months before. But now we see that Congress is inching closer. What do you think would be the reasons for this? Is the Congress finally hitting all the right notes? Are they strategizing better than the BJP? Is it because of the emerging new young leaders who might have made some significant dent into the BJP electorate, or is it something else?
I guess because it was contrarian, it has drawn a lot of attention, more attention than I thought it would, more attention than I thought it deserved, because others have done really serious big polls. I've simply used their data to make a secondary projection. And like everyone else, I'm also eagerly looking forward to exit polls, which should be out in 2 or 3 hours from now. So that's the real stuff. Mine is an interpretation. And like you, I also, about 3 months ago, I thought, what is there to watch in Gujarat election? After all, Gujarat, BJP's dominance in Gujarat is almost like the left dominance in West Bengal in those years, where BJP's, with the left front victory made no news. I mean, it's not news. They won every time. But their loss would be like an earthquake. And I thought, this is a routine matter, of course, that BJP would win in Gujarat. A possible defeat would be an earthquake, but I thought it's not possible. In the last 2 or 3 months, lots of fresh indicators started coming from the ground. I looked at that, didn't take it too seriously, because there is a tendency in most political circles that if you prefer something, if you really want something, you tend to imagine that this is going to happen. So we tend to conflate our hopes with our expectation. Now, this is one thing to be really avoided, especially in a place like Gujarat, which invites strong opinions, and it should. I should put it clearly on record, and I don't want any viewer to be under any doubt about that, I have been deeply opposed to Mr. Modi's politics in Gujarat, beginning with 2002, which I thought was really a blot on this country's history, like 1984 was. But the important thing is to separate these two things: one's hopes, one's wish, and one's expectations. So in 2002, when we conducted a survey on behalf of CSDS in Gujarat, it indicated that Mr. Modi was winning in a big way. So we went out and said that yes, Mr. Modi is winning, without saying that this was a great thing. So one can keep one's opinions separate and one's factual reporting and expectations separate. That's what we did in 2002. 2007, I think I made an error of judgment. Fortunately, not in the poll. I traveled in Gujarat at that time. especially in Saurashtra, and I thought that BJP was losing ground there. And I wrote articles to say that BJP can win, BJP can lose, Mr. Modi can lose. Then came our poll, which indicated no, he was actually ahead. So we reported the poll as the poll should be reported to say he was winning. And similarly this time, I must say that I continue to be opposed to Mr. Modi's politics, and I really wish that he loses in Gujarat, but which is not to say he will lose. These are two separate things. And for that, I draw evidence only from opinion polls. From opinion polls, it seems that something significant is happening in Gujarat. I traveled a bit there, also saw that, so I sort of draw upon that experience as well. What has happened is not so much that Congress has suddenly improved. If Congress wins, let me put it clearly, this is a victory they do not deserve. Over the last 5 years, Congress has done very little to be a clear opposition in Gujarat. I should actually say, over the last 15 years, Congress has done very little to deserve to be a serious opposition. People have been unhappy. The only question is, are they so unhappy that they would go and vote even Congress? That's really the question in Gujarat. And from the opinion poll indications, it seemed that several things have happened which would enable that to take place. One, although Congress is unable to channelize people's anger, many other forces have come. Hardik Patel, who leads this agitation of the Patidas for reservation. It's a very sectarian agitation. It's not a great movement that the country should take pride in or feel great about. It is rural distress which is taking the form of demand for reservation, just like the demand for Jat reservation, just like the demand for Kapu or Maratha reservation. But what it did was that it enabled people of Gujarat to articulate their anger. It gave them an outlet which they lacked. Alpesh Thakur similarly leads straightforward a caste-based mobilization. Again, nothing great, but it enabled a community to mobilize itself. So these are ways in which rural anger got manifested, got an outlet. Jignesh Mewani is a case apart. He has not led merely a caste-based agitation. He has actually forged a larger coalition of the oppressed in Gujarat. So the real hard work was done not by Congress, but by these movements. And what the Congress party has done in the last few months is to simply allow itself to be the beneficiary of these things. So there has been anger, there has been lot of disaffection in Gujarat, except that it did not have an outlet. It may have had an outlet, but it's maybe too soon. In 2-3 hours we would get a broad sense of whether that was happening. But I've been maintaining that this election is really about rural distress. Gujarat has had decent growth rates, but not in agriculture. Gujarat is one of those states where expenditure of farmers is more than their income. Gujarat is one of the lowest states in terms of availability of agriculture credit. And this year, Gujarat farmers, the two main crops of Gujarat, groundnut and cotton, have seen a terrible, terrible crash in price. So farmers have every reason to be unhappy, and to my mind, that is what is coming out if these trends are true.
So, as you mentioned, we aren't watching more of these reported stories of agrarian and rural distress. We don't see issues like MSP and land reforms and debt relief for farmers in the media or even political narratives. So, since you have worked closely with farmers across India and you have interacted with them quite a bit, can you tell our viewers what are some of the major demands of the farmers in Gujarat right now?
Gujarat farmers have been unhappy for a large number of reasons. First of all, many of the claims made on behalf of Gujarat, claims about irrigation, are very inflated claims. Gujarat, in the impression that you get all over the country is that because of Narmada, Gujarat has had great irrigation. The simple facts are different. Narmada was supposed to irrigate some 19 lakh hectares of agrarian land in Gujarat. What it has achieved so far is less than 3. Now, 3 against a claim of 19. Electricity supply to agriculture, the earlier it was 10 hours a day. It's actually been reduced to 8 hours a day, and that too alternate, day in one week and at night in another week. Gujarat has policy for all kinds of things. It does not have an agrarian policy. It does not actually, the state of Gujarat does not have an agriculture policy. It does not have an agriculture commission. As I said, farmers want loan availability. And of course, they want loan waiver because farmers are unable to pay their loans. I mean, that's all over the country. It's not specific to Gujarat. All over the country, farmers are reeling under debt, which they are simply unable to pay back, and they want to be freed of that debt. And then there is a problem of prices. Gujarat had two very bad drought seasons, 2014-15 and 15-16. These were bad drought years. Gujarat government was very slow in acknowledging those droughts. In fact, they came to the Supreme Court and almost denied as if there was a drought in Gujarat. Supreme Court had to force them to accept it. The drought relief was very poor. And then the year when they actually had decent crops, 16-17 and now 17-18, this is when they face price crash. Prices crashed last year. Demonetization hit the Gujarat farmers very badly. And then this year too, prices have crashed. And this is when Mr. Modi had promised. One of Mr. Modi's arguments in the Lok Sabha election was that, look, Mr. Manmohan Singh does not allow me to give you better prices. You are getting only 1400 for your groundnut and cotton. Make me the prime minister. I'll raise it to 2000. And today they are selling it for 900. I mean, this is the situation. So obviously they are unhappy. And the real question is whether their unhappiness has found an alternative political outlet. That is the question. From the polls, it seemed that they were willing to go even for Congress, a party that they have otherwise not good reasons to trust. But sometimes in politics, you're so angry with the party that's ruling that you say, okay, just to get rid of them. So that moment, so what the hell moment may have arrived with the farmers, and so it seemed. But as I said, it's now only a matter of few hours. The polling closes, so there's no point in making very, very definitive conclusions. But these broad things remain. The real question is whether farmers got a political outlet in the form of an opposition party. Were they willing to trust the Congress to articulate their grievances? The grievances are there, they are real. The question is, would they trust the Congress to articulate it? We'll get to know.
Yeah, also, this is one of the most keenly contested elections in Gujarat's history, at least recent history, because of various factors. Like the rise of these three young leaders. So there's also this situation where both the Congress and the BJP are blaming each other for playing divisive politics. While the Congress, of course, says that the BJP is dividing the constituency on religious lines, the BJP is also asserting that the Congress is playing caste politics here. But as we have already seen, you already said that the Patidar agitation led by Hardik Patel and the OBC movement led by Alpesh Thakur are not very desirable and sectarian agitations. But we have also seen the demands change, especially in the Patidar movement. It began with a primary thrust for reservations, but now they are also talking about unemployment, etc. So do you think it's not just caste politics, but also something bigger, perhaps the aspirations of the young people who are now demanding more than what the Gujarat model of development has provided them with?
I've always believed that these caste reservation based movements are really not about caste, not about reservation. They are about rural distress. All these communities, you see, look at Jats of Haryana, or Patidars of Gujarat, Marathas of Maharashtra, Kapus of Andhra Pradesh. These are agrarian communities, primarily dependent on cultivation and animal husbandry. And when prices drop, when the situation of agriculture becomes so bad as it is, then they could say, improve the condition of agriculture. But they could also say, and that this is where it happens, leaders come, divert it and say, I'll get you reservation, I'll get you jobs. The problem is unemployment, the problem is agrarian distress, but it gets diverted into these movements. This is what Hardik Patel's movement is a classic case of. The real problem, as you rightly said, is unemployment. Gujarat has had growth. Gujarat has not had, growth in employment. Employment remains a very major concern, and that is what people are questioning. Mr. Modi has been selling the Gujarat model to the rest of the country. The question is, why is he not selling that same model in Gujarat? He's now campaigning for the last 2-3 weeks. He must have done some 30 meetings in Gujarat. Why is it that Mr. Modi is not talking about Gujarat in Gujarat? Why is he talking about Pakistan? Why is he talking about all other things in the world? All kinds of imaginary things, all kinds of things which are really lowly for a prime minister to talk about. Why not, if Gujarat is your showcase model, just walk in and say, you've seen my work, vote for me, finish. Sell Gujarat model. But the fact that he does not talk about Gujarat model in Gujarat makes you think, makes you question, makes you wonder whether he really does believe in Gujarat model, and whether Gujarat model ever was what it was projected to be.
Also, if we talk about Rahul Gandhi, we have seen many analysis pieces in media, people talking about the reinvention of Rahul Gandhi. Seems like, he has this new avatar where he's more confident, politically mature, and saying all the right things. But it also makes you wonder, is it the best the Congress has to offer to the people? And how do you see the re-emergence, the so-called re-emergence of Rahul Gandhi in the context of the Gujarat elections?
Media's obsession with personalities is such that it comes up with very funny things. I can tell you, if by this evening exit polls say Congress is ahead, people will discover 15 virtues in Rahul Gandhi. There would be stories about how his backroom boys worked, and the spin, and how everything worked out. And if the exit polls say no, he's losing, you would hear things about how everything he planned was wrong. I always believe that our analysis of cricket is far more sophisticated than our analysis of politics. In cricket, you don't say, because we lost match, therefore the captain was wrong, the wicketkeeper was wrong, bowling was wrong, batting was wrong, fielding was bad. You don't say that. But in politics, you often say these things. So you would hear all these things about Rahul Gandhi. I really thought this election was not about Rahul Gandhi. There may have been a marginal improvement in the way he's approached. Some of the choices he made were sensible. But the difficulty is that if you are heading a political party which hasn't played the role of opposition for 15 years, what do you do in 15 months? What do you do in 15 days? Except a bit of theatrics, catching the right kind of people, making alliances, not so principled but possibly useful, which is what he has been doing. I don't think it is about Rahul Gandhi. It is about whether people of Gujarat think that Congress party can articulate their grievances and unhappiness, which is there. The question is not merely, is Rahul Gandhi the best that Congress can get? I think the larger question is Modi versus Rahul Gandhi the best choice that this country can get? Is this not the most unfortunate situation for a country which has seen great leaders in 20th century? For that country to be reduced to a choice between Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi says quite a lot about our times. These are really sad times if this is the option that the country has. But as I said, all this is dependent on the results, and if somehow BJP gets defeated, people would read all kinds of virtues into Congress. I do want to emphasize clearly that if BJP loses, which to my mind is possible, it would not be Congress's victory. it would be BJP's defeat. People are angry with BJP. Can they trust the Congress to be the vehicle? That's the only question to be asked.
Okay, so my final question. Let us assume for a moment that Congress indeed wins this election. What do you think are the steps that they should immediately take to provide a real alternative and also build public confidence in their governance?
Thankfully, I'm not an advisor to Congress Party, and I wouldn't want to be, because I really think that, in a sense, Congress Party is the biggest obstacle today in the country to creating a genuine alternative. Congress has not been able to offer an opposition to BJP and has blocked the way for any possible genuine opposition. So thank God I'm not their advisor. But for anyone who thinks about providing an alternative to BJP, irrespective of the result, the challenge remains the same. If BJP loses, it should not be seen as a defeat of BJP style politics. It would be a contingent verdict because of Gujarat, because of anti-incumbency, because of the gap between its claims and reality. The big issues that BJP's rise to hegemony has posed will continue to remain. I would say 3 or 4 things. One, the question of nationalism. Those who oppose BJP have to handle this question sensibly. Nationalism is the currency of this country. You cannot ignore it. Second, the question of religion. Secularism has to handle religion in a different way. Religions offer resources. Religions are also obscurantists. They are both. We need to find meaningful ways of relating to religion. And the third is a related question of cultural heritage. We need to be receptive to our cultural heritage. We must become the representative of our cultural heritage. The national movement, which was not sectarian, which was not communal, was nationalist. It was secular, but really related to religious sentiments, and it was the inheritor of India's cultural traditions. That is what a genuine alternative to BJP will have to become. Anyone who thinks that we can bypass these 3 questions and oppose Mr. Modi is living in a world of their own.
Okay, so that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Yadav. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, we'll have more clarity as the exit polls come in, and of course, after the final results are declared on December 18th. You can keep checking our analysis and on-ground reporting on thewire.in, thewirehindi.com, and thewireurdu.com. Thank you for tuning in.